John Sugar.
And the sky is gray.
I'm a private investigator.
They told me that you do one thing and one thing only. You find the missing.
I see John Sugar as someone who is he's very personally involved. He's a private detective. Every case he works on has a real heft of personal meaning to him. There's nothing that perturbs him more than a loved one being taken away from their loved ones, whether it's as a result of trafficking, kidnap, whatever it may be. And so he's doggedly pursuant of these cases that he involves himself with. He takes on a little bit more, he bites off a little bit more than he can chew with the case, of course, in this show as the show unfolds over 8 episodes. But he was a lovely character. When I read it first, I love film noir, and usually characters at the center of film noir and all the characters that exist within whatever the film may be, they're kind of hard-boiled. There's kind of deceit is always kind of at least on the periphery, if not central, and even the characters who are trying to hold the moral line of good, they're usually jaded, they're usually tired, they're usually a little bit more embittered by the lives that they've lived and what they've experienced throughout their work. And this character, John Sugar, had this optimism to him. He had this connection to human beings and this belief that human beings are fundamentally good, which of course is a very questionable belief when we see the world that we live in. But that's what kind of drew me to it initially.
I think the thing that I lead with Ruby is the way she was described to me. Ruby was described as, Ruby is to John Sugar what M is to James Bond. You know, she's somewhere at the intersection of like M and Q. She's a friend, but they have this professional relationship. She's also sort of like literally and sometimes metaphorically the brains behind the operation. And I think that what's really fun is watching their relationship develop over the season. Yeah, well, I think that Ruby and John's relationship fits really well within the noir genre, in that I think in classic film noir, the thing that I think draws people to the genre and the thing that is sort of iconic about it is the mystery and the fact that, you know, people and things aren't always as they seem. And I think that is true for every single character in Sugar, and obviously that includes Ruby.
I don't think so. They're such different men, such different human beings. Outside of some kind of procedural similarities, an ability to follow kind of maybe a keen intuition or so, but I didn't really draw any parallels. They were so different, you know. No, he doesn't, and that was one of the tropes that also was on the table as a consideration. And working with Amy Ryan, who plays Melanie in the show, you know, there were some whispers from the nosebleeds saying that our two characters should have a romantic involvement, and me and Amy were talking about it more and more, and in trying to understand the show and the tone of the show and understand her character and John Sugar and all. We just thought it'd be much more authentic, it'd be truer and kind of more interesting if there was just in two characters who are so alone in their lives and so lonely, however they realize it or not. There's a loneliness that they share, that the kind of the love that grows between the two of them is one that was built around friendship and the tenets of friendship and support and belief. And so that's, you know, so no femme fatale, but something that's a little bit deeper and certainly less nefarious than a femme fatale, which was Amy's Melanie. Everything you watch goes in. So I knew the world that we were trying to establish and create with this show and the tone of the world. So, you know, there's no, I watched a load of some films that I'd seen before, like The Big Sleep and Maltese Falcon and The Long Goodbye, and then other films that I had never seen, like Murder My Sweet and Farewell My Lovely, and it was great fun to swim in those waters of those old noir films.
Well, I think that their whole relationship, I think, you know, the PI and the sort of their confidant is, it classically in older noirs, they were probably both male, and in this one we have myself and John. So I think that there's many elements of the show that have found ways to sort of satisfy the audience's nostalgia, but also make it feel really new.
Oh, I thought it was amazing. I was really taken aback by it. When I read the script initially, the reveal that you're speaking of, it was in an earlier episode. I think it might have been in episode 1. I think it might have been at the end of episode 1. And we thought that it was, just too much too soon. Maybe it would have worked, but it was changed to later on in the show. I think we just wanted to lay the groundwork and kind of, attempt to justify that kind of reveal rather than reveal it and then work backwards. So it was just it was a choice that was made. But I was even if it was in episode 1, I was totally shocked. When I read it, I didn't see it coming.